Students, in this session, I'm going to explain you about polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are a class of carbohydrate. They are a class of carbohydrate molecules which are made up of innumerable number of monosaccharide units linked through glycosidic linkage. So these polysaccharides can be classified in two different modes. There are two types of classification of this polysaccharides. One classification. So one type of classification is based on the these polysaccharides there are two types of classification. One classification is based on on their chemical composition. One classification is based on the chemical composition, and the second type of classification is based on their biological role. So there are two types of classification. In the first type of classification, that is pure based on their chemical composition, these carbohydrate polysaccharides are classified as again into two types. They are classified as homopolysaccharides and heteropolysaccharides. Example for this homopolysaccharides are homopolysaccharides means upon hydrolysis they yield only one type of the sugar molecules. So example for this homopolysaccharides are starch, glycogen, then cellulose, pectin. They are all the example for this homopolysaccharides. Examples for the heteropolysaccharides. Heteropolysaccharides means upon hydrolysis, they yield more than one type of the sugars. Examples are all glycosaminoglycans. All glycosaminoglycans are the examples of this heteropolysaccharides. Glycosaminoglycans means heparin, dermatan sulfate, chondroitin sulfate. So like this, so many types of glycosaminoglycans are there. We will learn them later. So based on their biological role, based on their function, again these polysaccharides are classified into two types. One is structural polysaccharides and the second type is the storage polysaccharide. Structural polysaccharides, as their name indicates, they are going to form some structural framework in the biological system. Example for the structural polysaccharides are cellulose, pectin, and then all the glycosaminoglycans. All glycosaminoglycans are the examples of the structural polysaccharides. But the storage polysaccharides, as their name indicates, they act as reserved food materials in the plant and animal kingdom. Not only in the plant and animal kingdom, in the entire living system, they act as stored food material. Example for the storage polysaccharides are starch, glycogen, even inulin. These are all some of the examples for the storage polysaccharides. Students, whatever might be the classification, whatever may be the classification, but See, in all the type of sugars, we are going to, I mean, each and every type of polysaccharide, we are going to have the most of the same polysaccharide molecules. See, whether it may be a homo or whether it may be the classification, whether the classification base, if the classification is based on the chemical composition or if it is based on the biological role, we are going to have the final examples, the same sugars. I mean, the starch, glycogen, cellulose, pectin, glycosaminoglycans. Okay, whatever may be the classification, um, we have some polysaccharides that come in both the groups. So let us learn their structure one by one. In this session, I'm going to explain you about the structure of the starch, cellulose, starch, glycogen, cellulose. Okay, let us know the structure of the starch. I am going to explain you the structure of the starch. Again, starch is a homopolysaccharide. Starch is a homopolysaccharide. It means it's made up of only one type of the sugar, only one type of monosaccharide. The monosaccharide that is present in the starch is alpha D glucose. Okay, in addition to this, starch is also a storage starch is also a storage polysaccharide. Okay, this starch is the stored food material in the entire plant kingdom except the fungi. So it is a stored material in plant kingdom except fungi, where the stored food material is glycogen. Where the stored food material is glycogen. Now let us know the structure of the starch. The starch has two components in the structure. One component is readily soluble in the water and another component is quite difficult to dissolve it in cold water. So the component which is readily soluble is called as amylose. The component which is quite difficult to difficult to dissolve is amylopectin. So this amylose is a linear chain of the glucose units linked through it is a linear chain linked through alpha 1,4 linkage. But this amylopectin, it has the linear chain of alpha 1,4 glucose units, but for every 20 to 24 sugar units, there is one branching point, and that branching point has that branching point that at that branch or that branching point is having alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. So this amylose is readily soluble in the water, but it's quite difficult for the amylopectin to get dissolved in the water. Of course, it dissolves, but it not so readily dissolve when compared to amylopectin. It dissolves quite slower. So now let us know the structure of these sugars. If we learn the structure of the amylopectin, that will be enough, because in that amylopectin only this amylose part is covered. Our amylose part is included, or simply Okay, I'm going to explain both the structure of the amylose and amylopectin. So now initially I'm going to explain the structure of the amylose. So this amylose is nothing but the alpha two sugar units, two glucose units, if they are linked through alpha 1,4 linkage, and if and it continues. I mean, if they are going to form a large linear chain. So like this, see, just imagine this is alpha D glucose, this is another alpha D glucose, this is the first carbon. Both are alpha D glucose molecules, and this is the first carbon of one alpha D glucose, this is the fourth carbon atom of the second alpha D glucose, and both are linked through alpha 1,4 linkage. So if the structure continues like this, then that is the structure of the amylose. Then that will be the structure of the amylose. Now I'm going to explain you the structure of the amylopectin. So this amylopectin is it's having a linear chain of it's a linear chain of alpha D glucose molecules linked through alpha 1,4 linkage. I'm repeating, it's a chain of glucose molecules linked through alpha 1,4 linkage, but for every 20 to 24 sugar units, there is a branch. And once a branch is introduced, again it continues as a linear chain. So like it is nothing but the branched amylose is nothing but the amylopectin. And let us know its structure. So it continues like this. But somewhere after 20 to 20 sugar units, or 20, 21, 22, up to between 20 and 24 sugar units, there is a branching point and a branch is formed. So just imagine this is the sixth carbon atom. It is CH2OH. It's branched. See, once the branch is introduced, and after the branch, the chain further continues as the chain further continues as alpha 1,4 linkage. So it continues like this. So see here, this bond is alpha 1,4 linkage, and this bond alpha 1,6 linkage. So this is the structure of the amylopectin. pectin. So students, that's all about the structure of the starch. Now I'm going to explain you about the structure of the glycogen. So let us know the structure of the glycogen. Again, the glycogen is also a homopolysaccharide. Glycogen is a homopolysaccharide. Again, it is a storage polysaccharide. Glycogen is a storage polysaccharide. I mean, I'm repeating, it's a homopolysaccharide made up of only alpha D glucose. It's a storage polysaccharide in animal kingdom. It's a storage polysaccharide in animal kingdom and in the fungi and bacteria. So glycogen is a storage polysaccharide in all the animals, in the fungi and in bacteria. So it's a polyglycon. So the structure of the glycogen is exactly similar to that of the structure of the glycogen is exactly similar to amylopectin. Its structure is exactly similar to amylopectin, but it is highly branched. But it is even more branched. But it is even more branched than amylopectin, and it is having a branching point for every 10 to 12 sugar units. So now let us know the structure of the glycogen. I have already told you its structure is exactly similar to that of the amylopectin. It means its structure is exactly similar to amylopectin, means it is having the glucose units linked through alpha 1,4 linkage. The glucose units are linked through alpha 1,4 linkage in the linear chain form, but at the branching point, the bonding is alpha 1,6. And for every, and the branches are more nearer when compared to that of the, when compared to that in the amylopectin. See, this is the structure of linear chain, and here the sugar units are linked through alpha 1,4 linkage, and here we are having a branching point. This is the sixth carbon atom, and this sixth carbon atom is going to form a glycosidic bond with another alpha D glucose, and again after that the alpha 1,4 linkage continues. See, here it is, I have written in this orientation. See, this is the first carbon. Okay, just have a look at the structure. This is the first carbon of another sugar, and this is the sixth carbon. So this bond is alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. See, don't get confused. So the sugars are in this orientation. Okay, this is the first carbon, second, third, fourth. Okay, this is the fourth carbon of one sugar, and this is the first carbon of the next sugar. They both are going to form the glycosidic linkage. So like this, the structure continues. Okay, this is how it continues. So this is the structure of the glycogen, and that's all about the structure of the glycogen. I'm repeating, glycogen is a storage homopolysaccharide of all the in the of the animal kingdom and also the fungi and bacteria. The sugar units that are present in the glycogen are alpha D glucose molecules. They are linked through alpha 1,4 linkage wherever the linear chain is there. But at the branching point, the linkage, glycosidic linkage is alpha 1,6 linkage. And it is even more, its structure is exactly similar to that of the amylopectin, but it is highly branched. For every 10 to 12 sugar units, there is a branching. And further, this branching point continues as a linear chain. So students, that's all about the structure of the glycogen. Now we will see the structure of the cellulose. Now I'm going to explain you the structure of the cellulose. We all know that again the cellulose is a, again it's a homopolysaccharide. Cellulose is a homopolysaccharide. It is a structural cellulose is a homopolysaccharide. It's a structural polysaccharide. I have told you it's a homopolysaccharide. It is made up of beta D. It is made up of the beta D glucose units. The monomeric units in the cellulose are beta D glucose. When can we see the cellulose? Cellulose is one of the cell wall components in all the plants except fungi. It is one of the cell wall components. It is one of the cell wall components in plants. Now let us know the structure of the cellulose. The cellulose is, as I have already told you, it's purely made up of the, okay, the cellulose is the water insoluble. It is, we all know that it is water insoluble and it is going to form some fiber like structure. So the cellulose is a linear chain. There is no branching in the cellulose molecules. So all the molecules are linear. I mean the entire molecule, each chain is linear with beta 1,4 linkage. So now we will see the structure of the cellulose. This is how these cellulose molecules are going to form it. The beta D glucose molecules. are going to be linked through beta 1,4 linkage, and this bond is beta 1,4 linkage. So this is how they are going to form the linear chain. So you can uh, uh, the best example for the pure cellulose is the cotton. Okay, the cotton that is produced from the cotton plants. So we can understand why we can understand that in all the cases the cellulose is in the form of the linear fiber. Why it is going to form a linear fiber like structure? See, in the molecular, at the molecular level only, it's having a linear chain. So if one cellulose molecule is going to form a linear, if it is one molecule of the cellulose, if it is another molecule of the cellulose, so like this, these individual lines indicate each chain of the cellulose, and you can see on all the sides, especially the second OH group, the third OH group, and the sixth OH group of the sixth carbon atoms are free. And these carbon atoms are going to form some hydrogen bond with the adjacent chain of the cellulose molecule. So we can see some hydrogen bonding. So just imagine if it is one, just imagine if it is one cellulose chain, if it is a, so in the nature, the best example for the cellulose, as I have already told you, is a cotton threads, the strings of cotton or the fibers in the cotton. Just imagine if it is one chain of the cellulose, if it is another chain of the cellulose. So in the in their higher structure, these chains are going to be arranged in a parallel manner. And you can see that the OH group of the second carbon atom, third carbon atom, and sixth carbon atom is free. Okay, all these OH groups are free, and they are going to form the OH groups of the adjacent, not the OH groups. Okay, these OH groups are involved in the hydrogen bond with the hydrogen atoms of the adjacent adjacent cellulose chains. So that's why we are going to have a strong fiber of the cellulose at last. So thus we can say that because of all these properties, it is quite strong, it is water insoluble, and it is linear fiber like structure. So students, that's all about in this session. That's all about the cellulose. Students, in this session I explained you about students in this session I had explained you about in this session I have explained you about the polysaccharides, their classification, and then I explained the structure of the starch, then glycogen, and then cellulose. So students, that's all about this session.